very much like to thank all of you for being here in your interest. I know that you all know me on varying degrees. Some of you have been married to me for 15 years, and some of you I've just met for the first time tonight. So trust is something that's really important to me, and I want to share Adventure Team through stories. So we're going to share a few stories about how it was developed, the lovely folks that are behind the scenes doing a whole bunch of work, the folks that have already joined this venture with me and decided to volunteer, even though you might know a little bit or a lot of it about it, and then information about myself, because I think it's really important that you know who's bringing this to your community. Community is very important to me. The kids in our community is very important to me, and I'm really excited about Adventure Team starting this year in our community. So with that, some of you may or may not know this gentleman, Todd Coquette. Todd Coquette started Adventure Team in 2014 in Marquette. He's an outdoor enthusiast, and he felt like there wasn't an opportunity for adults or kids in the community who were new to mountain biking to be able to get into the sport without feeling maybe a bit intimidated or otherwise. So although I'm going to talk freely about other things, I wanted to make sure to quote him directly about his intentions for this group. People aren't drawn to mountain biking just to compete. His intent was to prioritize effort, embrace failures, develop positive habits, focus on the journey, view setbacks as an opportunity. So just letting that sink in for a little bit. The intent is to not compete. The intent is to support one another. The intent is to encourage our youth to support one another and each other. So pretty great intentions, I believe. So Todd is pictured here with his lovely sons, Gavin, who's here, who's 18, and Cable, who I believe is 10 or 11. And then his wonderful wife, Stacy, who has supported him throughout this entire time. She has also put in an incredible amount of effort into this team as well. So he started biking with 5 kids, meeting at Border Grill, a restaurant in Marquette, once a week. And it's grown to Marquette, Delta, Gogebic, thank you, and Eau Claire, and new this year in Green, 3 counties. They're starting this year. Ours, Iron County, and Midland, and Lower Michigan. So the growth is happening. I, at this time, would like to invite Tiff to share her story. That's just a chunk of Todd's story. Tiff Tibbetts joins us from Marquette. She is part of Todd's team, and I would just like to have her share her story about what brought her to Adventure Team as well.
Hi. So I'm living in Marquette right now. I'm born and raised in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And my husband and I started a Wisconsin League NICA race team in Eau Claire in 2016. And our first year we had 13 kids, 3 coaches. It was crazy. It was a lot. But what we learned that first year is that we had a lot of riders who joined and were not interested in racing at all. In fact, we lost a lot of riders after the first year because they felt like the race focus of that organization didn't meet their needs. We also found that we had a huge interest in children who are entering kindergarten through 5th grade. And the NICA team is focused on middle and high school riders. So my husband reached out to Todd. He knew Todd through some events and spent some time shadowing and kind of watching what Todd was doing in Marquette. And then we started a nonprofit in Eau Claire and organized our own adventure team, mirroring what was happening in Marquette. So it was before Adventure Team started to expand. We quickly grew in Eau Claire. Our last year, we had 130 kids and 40-some coaches, and actually we were turning kids away because we didn't have enough volunteers. We're really, really driven by the number of volunteers that we have because we keep our group sizes small, 8 to 10 kids max, 2 to 3 volunteers per group. They stay with the same adult the whole summer, so they're able to build relationships. In 2020, for me and for my husband, life threw us some curveballs, like it did for many of us. And we ran the program in Eau Claire in 2020, and then we left Eau Claire. And we spent some time traveling, and in the spring of late winter, January of 21, we knew we were not going to be coming back to Eau Claire. And we did not have a board member or a community member who was able to take on our team and run it. It's a lot of time to do on your own. So we reached out to Todd again and to Adventure Team. We knew they were starting to expand and said, hey, can you help us? Because we didn't want to lose the program for those 130 children. That was hard for us, knowing we had to leave, that we might be leaving those children behind as well. So Todd and Tara came in and provided the structure that Eau Claire needed in order to keep that program running at high quality, and provided the tools that all of the volunteers there needed so that they could just show up and ride with the kids and do what they wanted to do and not have to do things like background checks and run a training program and search for insurance. Then, my husband and I were traveling, and we ended up living in Arizona for a while, and Adventure Team was looking for another team member as a staff person, and I applied and took the job. Yay!
I was so excited.
In January, so I found in December, we moved in January from Arizona to Marquette. It was an interesting time to move. Growing up in Eau Claire, we were prepared for the cold. We were not prepared for the amount of snow. We still have 2 feet waiting to melt in our yard. It's just there. We'll be there till July. And so now I'm helping with running the youth programs, and officially I'm the youth program and education coordinator, so I work with developing the volunteer training and background checks. But really, the reality is there's 3 employees, so we all kind of do all the things and share that workload, really, so that these communities that you saw, again, so your volunteers can come and show up and ride and focus on your riders and your children and developing those relationships. So we're doing kind of like the boring stuff behind the scenes that is not rewarding, you don't want to do. We do those things. So yeah,
And we're so grateful for that. Because it makes my job starting a team this year exponentially easier.
yeah, and that's the whole.
Yeah, good goal. Yeah, you're doing it. Thank you. So Tiff shared her story. Tara is with us in spirit, but she did do a lovely video. So I'm going to share her story with you as well.
Very community-oriented person, and I think that with the 906 Adventure Team, what we're doing is we're helping build our community. So it's a cliche, but today's youth are tomorrow's leaders, right? So that's what we're working on. We're working on kids, and we're building resiliency and confidence and helping them step outside the box, because at some point they're going to be the adults in charge, and we want to have a really strong community of kids who are also community-oriented when they become adults.
So that's a snippet of it. So my why. I am going to tell you up front, I'm an introvert. I don't like to talk about myself, and I don't like to be the center of attention. So for me to be up here right now says a huge amount about how dedicated I am to this program, because this is totally outside of my box. So I'll share that. But it's really important for you to know about me and to know about my journey that got me here, because I want you to know what kind of person that you have that started this team. So Noah, my husband, and I, we've been married for almost 16 years. We lived in De Pere for that amount of time as well. I happen to be a physician assistant at Prevea, so I have some medical knowledge. So parents and volunteers that are interested in the program, I just want you to know that that medical knowledge is present within our little community. We have two lovely boys, Harper and Alden, who are 13 and 11. I'm going to share this picture here. Harper and Alden have shown me, and I've learned so much for them about life. In our experiences in being parents, we've learned a smidgen about what traditional sports are like. Definitely not saying that traditional sports are bad by any means. We've had the experience of having those conversations about what it's like to be on a C team or what it's like to not feel good enough, which are conversations that are just normal and they happen. I really wanted to provide an opportunity for our kids within our community and other kids within our community to really feel like they are good enough, because children should never be defined by their abilities, whether it be on the court or otherwise. So Adventure Team is an organization that are for kids 5 to 17 years old, non-competitive whatsoever. There's no competition. We are there to support one another, and in that doing love one another and just be in nature, explore nature, stop and look at flowers that maybe weren't there last week, just focus on the full experience of what it is to be human and the human connection. So that's the intent. So this picture, for the last 3 years, I've done a deep dive into my experience growing up. We've all had different backgrounds, different experiences. My experience was not so great. I found that, but there were great things, but also not great things. I found that endurance biking is a way to heal, a way to process, a way to just find your best self through outdoor adventure. So, Noah and I started biking about, yeah, there's a beautiful Hillsborough road over there.
I had to pee.
Yeah, because I'm biking.
I call it insurance tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of Mother Nature.
Right? All the fun insurance stuff, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I just thought it was heavy rain. I really, really did. But then okay, sorry.
No, that's okay.
So we're gonna stop and we're gonna enjoy nature.
So we're stopping and enjoying nature, and one of the things that this will bring up about something about me is I'm very much in the moment. Try to live in the moment as much as possible. So and things that you can't control, which is pretty awesome.
Like your boys running in the hailstorm.
Yes. Yes.
They're out there. Oh, they are.
Yep. That's awesome. Okay, so Noah and I started mountain biking about 9 years ago. We were traditional athletes in high school. We ran. Running, of course, your knees are not so great over time, so we were exploring other things to do. Noah connected with Sean Hauser and got into mountain biking. And I will legit tell you that there was a time when I asked Noah, is mountain biking really good exercise? And do you really have to wear a helmet? I did say that 9 years ago. So, got into mountain biking, did some wars races. The kids did some wars races, and realized that it just didn't feel like a good fit for us. We went to the races, we were nervous, we did as good as we could do based on the training that we were willing and interested in putting in without taking time away from our kids, and so that was kind of the next step. And then I learned about the first point-to-point pressure. So you may or may not know Copper Harbor is a mecca for mountain biking, Marquette is a mecca for mountain biking. So Todd Poquette made the point-to-point pressure where you bike from Copper Harbor to Marquette over the course of however long it takes you period within reason. So I was like, okay, sign me up. So I trained for this using the Ride Across Wisconsin training program. It worked out, turned out, and I finished it. So that was my first 906 event that I did that I was like, yes, this is definitely for me. This feels like a really good fit. The people riding, the people within the community, the two men that I had never met before that we rode through the night together. I don't talk to them at all, but that particular human connection was pretty incredible. So that was a really great exposure to the mountain bike community and the endurance community and the 906 community. So these are my very good friends, Matt Berg and Jason Salzwell, who are joining us tonight as well. So I put this picture up because they have been so much a part of my training journey. So they helped me train for another 906 event called the Fist. So 2020, of course, nothing was happening with regards to events. I was still in this healing journey. Within the course of 3 months, they helped me complete a 225-ish, 225 ride, a 100-mile ride, a 50-mile ride, and a 50-mile run within 3 months. So that, I was like, okay, so if I can do this, then what else can I do? Todd Burkett also provides an opportunity for us to do the Triple Crown. So the Triple Crown includes a Crusher 225, a Polar Roll, which is a winter event, and the Mardi Gessick. I will tell you the first time that I did the Mardi Gessick, which is a 100-mile mountain bike ride in Marquette, I did not finish it. I missed the cutoff by 40 minutes, so that fueled the fire. That was the first event that I tried, and I did not get it on the first time. So that fueled the fire. What else can I do? So then Todd and Mark Somm, this lovely gentleman right here, they had the incredible idea of let's make a route around the UP. Awesome. So they attempted to ride a route similar to this in October of 2021. Am I right? 2020? October 2020. And they made 1,000 miles of it. They ran out of time because Mark unfortunately had other commitments that he had to get back to. So they too had this burning desire, like we didn't finish it, we want to do this. So then they planned to do it in May of 2021, and they invited women to come along. So because I have a loving, supportive husband who was like, yes, Kelsey, this is what you need to do. My only factor was, can I get 3 weeks off of work, which worked. I was in. Again, Matt and Jason were there to help me prepare and train for this particular event. And on Alden's 10th birthday, welcome, come on in. On Alden's 10th birthday, we had a birthday party at the Rocket Range in Copper Harbor, celebrating his birthday, and then we had it out. So we did 1,600 miles in 16 and a half days. And during this time, it became very apparent in my mind, what am I going to do with this? What is this going to encourage me to do? How can I share my love? I have healed, I have met my own needs now. Noah, sorry, I get a little emotional. Noah, who has been the only person who's ever supported me as much as anyone in my entire life, allowed this opportunity for me. What else can I do with this? And hence Adventure Team Brown County was born. So that is what I'm bringing to you. That is my experience, that is my passion. I am here for you, I'm here for our community. So that's that piece. This is us finishing. A half a day later than we anticipated, but it's okay. We planned on doing it in 16 days, it took 16 and a half, so mission accomplished. So I'm just gonna put this up here and let you just read this because I think it has more effect if you read it yourself. Pretty stellar, right? All right, so we're gonna move now to, you know my why. Now I'm going to move to where I put myself when I was making this. If I was a parent or a guardian, what are the key things that I would want to know if I was thinking about having my child participate in an adventure team? We have trained volunteers. Our volunteers, which if you feel comfortable doing so, if you would mind raising your hand, those of you that have already committed,
Oh, they're already committed.
thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. So our trained volunteers are going through two options, either a 3-hour online training session, which is required, or choosing to attend an adventure summit, which is happening in Marquette, April 23rd. So we're trained on safety, we're trained on teaching safe riding, we're trained on even things as such as like interacting with children at different age developments. I'm going to invite Tiff to highlight some of the other training that's involved as well.
Yeah, so parents, guardians, you should know they have to do a background check.
Yeah.
That's their number one, and then they can move on to training.
Yeah.
We don't talk we don't train how to like teach race skills or you know how to do starts on your bike. We talk more with our volunteers about how to work with children to develop growth mindset, resiliency, grit, overcoming things that are tough, setting goals. Things like, okay, what can you do maybe at the end of season? What's your goal, but you can't do it yet? How are we going to get there? We do have some skills focus every night, but it's like, you know, a tiny section of the time, and the majority of the time of the ride is spent out on trails. So we also talk with our volunteers about how do you make it an adventure. Right? If you're on the same trail every week, how do you, like Kelsey said, stop? You know, take a moment and explore those changing plants or whatever it might be. Blueberries is a big thing up the kids know that where to go during that time of the year. Yeah, we talk about risk management, safety. There's some first aid training. We do really drill our volunteers on making sure that the approach is consistent. So every night you bring your child to an adventure team ride, base camp looks the same. Your child's always going to know, I go to this station number, and it's always in the same place. And we begin with a bike check for safety. Actually, your children do the bike check, but we teach them how. So it's a lot of non-traditional training when you think about what you may have been trained for, like to coach a different sport. It's less on the sport and more on the connecting.
Yes, exactly. So know that our volunteers are professionally background checked and are trained. The safety piece on and off the trail. So each group of 8 to 10 kids has at least 2 or 3 volunteers with them. There's a lead, and then there's a sweep, a person at the end. Both volunteers have radios to communicate with one another, to make sure that none of the children get lost or go on a different trail or whatnot. So there's that communication piece. The lead backpack has things to do a quick fix of a bike, some first aid stuff, some snacks, of course, just in case we need some extra snacks. So your children are safe out there while they're out there on the trail. We do at the orientation, which I'll speak to in a moment, we do a ride assessment, which is to not by any means group fast kids with fast kids, slow kids with slow kids. It is just to make sure that they are safe out there, that they're riding with someone who may not be like right on their wheel, so they tip over. It's all for safety measures to keep that as a priority. Consistency, as Tiff spoke to, everything is the same every time that you show up. The stations are the same, the volunteers are the same. That's why we have volunteers. Hi, welcome, come on in. That's why we have volunteers that are committed throughout the whole summer, only missing 1 or 2 Thursdays throughout the summer, so the kids see the same faces, the same people at base camp. And what that does is, if you have an expectation of what it's going to be like, then it opens all this possibility for adventure, exploration, because the kids know what to anticipate, they feel safe, they feel like they know they have a community within their group, and so that allows for exponential growth within themselves and then within their groups as well. This is an aside. If we happen to have any 16 or 17-year-olds, which I really hope so, if we do have any 16 or 17-year-olds, they also need to purchase a Brown County Trail Pass, just as an aside. So for 16 or above, the reforestation camp, which I'm going to speak to in a moment, where we're going to hold adventure team, all of the adults and kids over 16 just need to take a ride there, because there's a lot of maintenance of the trails and a lot of great things a lot of great space that we explore. So this is just a picture, an example of what the station looks like. It's pretty beautiful because each one of these cones are like marked out at a particular distance. So legit, myself, Noah, maybe some other volunteers will be measuring things out. So it's going to be, Alden's going to volunteer to measure some stuff out. So it's going to be very consistent. Okay, volunteers. So the volunteers that are here tonight, this may be new information, this may not be new information. If anyone is considering volunteering, these are the main pieces. So we spoke to the online course. If you're interested in volunteering and you feel touched and you're like, yes, I want to do that tonight, you can go home, you can go to the 906 Adventure Team, let them a volunteer link, put in some information, they'll prompt the background check. Once the background check is done, then you will be sent the online training. So it can be as simple as that. Be present every Thursday at step 1. Again, for that consistency, Brown County Trail Pass, just a working bike, and then a backpack that a radio comes to. So those are really the bare bones of the requirements. I should speak to, and this will be a slide later, but it's just about 2 hours every Thursday. So 3-hour training, 2 hours every Thursday for the summer. That's it, to simplify it. Riders, a bike. To speak to the bike piece, part of orientation is for us to do bike checks for the kids, to make sure that they have functioning brakes, to make sure that their tires hold air, to make sure that their chains are in working order. If it's identified that a child does not, or a kid does not have a working bike, and it's not anticipated that a working bike is going to be able to happen before adventure team starts, and they have signed up and they're in, we are fortunate to have 5 bikes donated to us, and we can work with your child or a child to get a bike so they can still participate, because that can be quite an expensive piece of this. Nameplate, Stadium Bike graciously donated this year these nameplates for us. It's really important for us as volunteers to call the kids by name, because it makes you feel loved, connected, important, and valued. So all children will be called by their preferred names at all times. Water bottle to bring, a snack, because every kid is hungry, especially around dinner time. And again, volunteers will have extra snacks. And then Pete's Garage donated our Adventure Team t-shirts this year. So all kids will have a t-shirt that will look similar to, well, not similar necessarily, but they will have their Adventure Team t-shirts to wear to be proud of. And helmets. Thanks, Matt. Helmets are super important. You're paying attention. I appreciate your...
And clothes.
Clothes are important. Yep. Remember, I think Okay, so this is just a snapshot of important data there for you to choose from. On May 7th at 8 a.m., that Brown County's link will go live, and so you're able to sign up then right away. May 26th is our orientation at the reforestation camp. That's going to be from 6 to 8 p.m. That's where we're going to do some bike checks, helmet checks. All the volunteers and parents are going to see the setup of what it's going to look like every single week. You're going to meet your volunteers that are connected to your particular group. And then we're going to assess that rider skill. Again, safety in mind, nothing to do with fast, slow, ability, nothing like that.
Can I jump in on
Please do.
that? We actually,
We're changing that.
Totally.
We're going with the flow.
yeah, we're not looking at skill anymore.
Great.
We'll do a little survey with you and your rider, and your rider will tell us how often they ride, the length they ride.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was in our last lead meeting and I forgot about that.
We're looking at this like goals. So does your, if we have two groups of 5 and 6 year olds, we're going to put kids together who want to ride and have fun and pick flowers. And in our second group, if we have kids who say, I just want to ride fast and like do all the hard stuff, they'll go to a different group, right? Because the goal, as much as possible, we really want to meet the individual needs of all the kids. And so we do, from past experience, know that when we've done some skill assessments, we had kids who could do like all the obstacles. And one in particular from Eau Claire Mason, he could do all the skinnies, he could do all the up and overs, like no problem, super champ. And he didn't want to ride fast. He wanted to ride in the back and talk with his coach, and that was it. So we would have put him in the totally wrong group. So this is our
Very
goal,
customized.
as much as possible.
Yeah. I love it. I forgot about that. Thank you. So Adventure Team Green Bay is going to be June 9th through August 18th, every Thursday from 6 to 8 at the reforestation. I think that because there's a bathroom. There, no bathroom. Eunice run no bathroom. Eating bathrooms. Okay, so I just want to give a shout out to our community who have, again, jumped in and said, yes, this is an awesome program. I want to help you, Kelsey, even though you've never done this before. So Broken Spoke, again, that's our 5 bikes that are displayed in our garage every time we drive in. It makes me smile. And our 5 helmets that are donated to us as well. Pete's Garage, Stadium Bike, Bellmark, Wellbeck Group, thank you, Matt, for that connection. Matt Bird did a Facebook birthday, raised a good chunk of money, as did I. The only thing that we don't have, we have the nameplates, we have the kids' tees, we don't have the volunteer shirts.
Did you get my email?
Today? No, I'm not checking email.
Probably did.
Excellent, thank you. We may have the volunteer shirts taken care of. Awesome. All right, so that may be done and over with. So, Nano 6 Adventure Team graciously fronts any new community about $20,000 worth of equipment, tents, flags, everything to get us off the ground and started. So any sort of donations are very much appreciated to help with getting us off the ground. Even though they're funding us, it just kind of gives back that circle. Because I wish money wasn't a part of it, but I think it is. So I'm just going to leave you with one last beautiful video, and then definitely obviously going to be here until 7:30 to answer any questions.
Seeing the growth that she went through and her confidence was very moving for me. That's when I started to volunteer for NSX.
What a difference, one person can make in your life that you'll remember when you get older, that they stuck with you and brought out the best in you.
It's given me the mindset of if you're able to start it, you can finish it.
It's
helped me to strive more towards my goals. It's helped me to just be a better person in a lot of different ways.
To be able to be there and be present as these kids challenge themselves, fall down, and get back up. And to know that if you weren't there, that might not happen.
So I'm gonna be there, and thank you for being here. All right, shut down. I'm going back to my introvert self.
I just want to ask you if there's any questions.
What's like the youngest like that you guys typically take on?
Youngest?
Yeah.
So 5.
Okay.
I will tell you that I had one family reach out to me that has a 4-year-old boy that snow bikes already, and he has a 7-year-old sister. 7-year-old sister is like, gives her take biking, and the 4-year-old is going to participate, because I can't imagine quieting his interest in flame just because he's 4.
Sure.
But even though he has so much interest.
Yeah.
So there is gonna be one 4-year-old.
Yep, and we make exceptions. I think in every community, there's usually at least one 4-year-old, so long as they're not in training wheels, and that they can ride for, we're doing about 2 hours. 5-year-olds are not riding for 2 hours straight. Again, it's a lot of off the bike time, but they need to be able to manage for 2 hours. So we make exceptions.
I understand that there's like a parent organization as well, and we're not able to commit this year to the every Thursday, but is there other opportunities that you're looking for outside of that time that you need volunteers for? Like paperwork, that type of thing, or is that covered by the main organization?
Thank you. I'll let Tess answer that question.
Paperwork, all that stuff, that's my job. We take care of it. Tara, we saw it, Todd, we handle those things, but certainly if there's something in the community that house needs, she'll let you know.
I'm really conscious about it seems like there's a commitment or not a commitment, but it's my intent still to, in some way, involve everyone who's interested. So I would love to connect with you so we can have communication about what your interest is and whatnot, to see how it's going to fit in with this. Because I'm here for passion, and I don't want to squelch anyone's passion just because you can't be here every Thursday. There are requirements with regards to, of course, background checks for like safety and whatnot, and then the volunteer as far as training. But I have a list of people who have expressed interest just as you have, just to kind of be connected with too. So. Yes.
How many different, do you guys have like a course set up? How many different? 4, 5, every?
Great question. So the reforestation camp has many different trails. On May 19th, for those volunteers that can join us, we're gonna go through the trails and show them different opportunities for each age group based on distance away from base camp. So there's that piece, and then 906 Adventure Team, part of what they give us are those like little skinnies and those little wooden features that you showed, or that were shown in the video. So there will be time for each group to have fun on those too if they choose. Yeah. Yep. So at the reforestation camp, I'm not sure.
So
Your familiarity.
I guess the main thing is 2 hours is not all on the same
Correct.
spot. It's bouncing around.
Yes, yep, and at the reforestation camp, there's a trail called Single Track, where it's just kind of like a skinnier trail, and then there's also a trail called Double Track, where it's wider, where the skiers ski. So there's even variation that way as well. So there's a lot of variation there. And riding there for 9 years, and my lovely friends that have been riding with me, we kind of know, all right, this group should go here, that group should go there. Yeah.
Cool.
Good question.
Can the adults like ride along, you know, with the, you know, this isn't just like dropping your kid off and
Good
you know,
question. It is just dropping your kid off.
It is, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And that brings up a really good point. Thank you very much.
I wasn't sure like what other kind of interaction
Yeah.
they may have
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yep. So, 2 things on that. One, it is just dropping your kid off. And the reason is to allow them to explore and be on their own with other kids and 2 other very responsible adults. And then any volunteers that choose to volunteer, we do not ride with our own kids, which is great for us and great for them, to allow for both participating parties to have the most out of it.
I would suggest if you do have a kid who does participate, you take advantage and go ride the single track
Yeah.
yourself, by yourself.
This
Yeah.
is my excuse to
Yeah,
go out there.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have a babysitter for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You just go and do whatever you need to do in the woods.
Okay.
Just so you know, also, that is a community-wide policy.
Yes.
We don't let anybody ride with the groups who hasn't gone through the background check and training. And we've had parents, grandparents, guardians who are like, well, I just want to, it's be with it. And they're probably great people, but we don't want to take that risk with your children. So our volunteers also have a shirt that identifies them, and they use a nameplate as well, so we know these people they're with us, they're cleared, and pass a background check.
And to speak to that, if there's interest that's generated by parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles, like, I want to ride with them. Awesome. Take them out. Ride with them. See the experience. See what it feels like. Bring snacks. I highly recommend that. But yeah, because there is something to be said about being with other people in the woods, whether you're on a bike or not.
And we definitely hear back from a lot of families who have said, I never really rode a bike, but my child joined the team, and now they take me out and they show me the trails, and
Yes.
they're teaching me how to ride these things, and it becomes a great moment within the family where the child now is an expert in this skill and is teaching mom and dad or grandpa or whatever it may be, and that becomes a really powerful thing for kids.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I guess one more thing.
Great.
If maybe you're not a rider, but you want to stick around, we always are looking for volunteers at base camp. Base camp really, you're handing out snacks at the end, making sure things are set up correctly, making sure there's no weird people hanging out, just kind of keeping things under control. We have 50 kids and 25, 30 volunteers. It can be a little bit of a circus. Cars dropping people off, so base camp volunteers don't have to ride. They can be there and volunteer and support the mission that way.
After base camp is the best place to be. Matt Webster Shell is going to be there. I would definitely want to hang out with her.
Is there any like minimum expectations as far as like a bike to have? I mean, I saw a lot of the bikes have like, handlebar brakes, but my daughter's still got coaster brakes. I mean,
Okay.
that's no problem.
That's a wonderful question that I'm going to let either Tiff or one of my bike knowledgeable friends / husband answer.
Are there-
How old is she?
6.
So that would be fine for that age group. We're not doing any.
She doesn't need like a full suspension carbon fiber.
No.
Well, unless you want us to say yes.
I gotta use it.
I think she needs one in your size.
Yeah.
Really, so no training wheels, no coaster bikes. But if it's safe, if the brakes work, or how brakes work,
So no trikes.
no tricycles, no.
And ideally, you want some tread on the tire, I know that in the past there have been some kids with just street tires that don't have any tread. Obviously, when they get on the dirt, then it becomes a little bit more difficult. But for that 4, 5, 6 age group, then it's probably, they're not doing too much single track anyway, so overall it's probably fine.
Are Thursdays weather dependent? It's raining all night, or are you gonna ride?
Only if they close the trails.
They don't close trees.
Well, that and/or we're also going to be good trail stewards. So if we're leaving bike marks, then no, I would call it off. But
About thunder, lightning.
thunder, lightning, no.
Okay, thank you.
But raining, not messing up the trails, yes.
But there's also ways around that too, is we just don't ride the single track and you just ride double
We
track.
Yes, if there's any question, yes. And I'm very conscious about emails quickly, because I know what it's like to be, there's a parent on the other side waiting, like, track practice, it's raining, is it gonna happen? So I will make sure to let you know in a very good amount of time.
Yep, and we do have we use something called Team App, where we communicate those sorts of things by 3 o'clock at the latest on a practice, they will make that call. Or tell someone if they call and let us know.
Right on. But I hope it rains. I hope we get some nights of rain. Because there's nothing like being in the woods when it's raining. Yeah. As an aside, for adults, there's nothing also like being in the woods at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's also pretty incredible with people. I mean, nothing can really get better than that. Me myself, no, I was never by myself at 3 in the morning. But I was prepared to be at 3. Yeah, it's pretty beautiful. Maybe we can think about that in the future. Night ride.
I know if it can't be here, the lions roar.
Oh my gosh, yes. Very true.
We know that, like, was the lions.
Which should freak you out.
Yeah, it's not every day that you
Oh,
hear
I
a
see,
lion.
it's the zoo, that's right.
Wisconsin. All right. Thank you very much. I'm here.
Thank you.
I'll give you my phone number. I prefer talking over email, but I will also Facebook, email, whatever you prefer. For talking is cool too. Even though I'm an introvert, I know I have these stipulations. It's kind of weird, but it doesn't matter because just reach out to me because that's what I'm here for.
And we do have some flyers in the back that you can take, or there's a QR code if you want to scan it to integrate to the website.
If also you, thank you
Yeah,
for saying that.
yeah.
If you want to take any flyers and put them up in your place of employment, I'm definitely encouraging you to do that. You might say, well, Kelsey, why aren't you going to schools? Why aren't you talking to other kids within our community? We're very conscious about not over-promising and under-serving. Is that the right term? So we have 50 spots for kids. I don't want to go to push it at every school. I have flyers in bike shops now as of yesterday, but I don't want to push it in every school because if we have a whole bunch of people sign up and then kids are bummed because they didn't get in, well, that's a bummer too. So I'm being very cautious about, yes, this is happening in our community. I'm certainly not keeping it from everyone, but I also don't want to disappoint people either. It's kind of this fine line of figuring out what's happening this first year. So, but if you want to take a flyer and put it up in your work like I did today at the video, you are welcome to. Yes, definitely. You can definitely put it on your fridge. It'll increase your soap every time that you go to the fridge.
It's high already.
Yep, sure thing. And that's my intent is to, for the volunteers that have signed up thus far, we've had some meetings here or there just to like build this stoke of how cool this program really is. So. All right. Thank you.
There will be rounds of questions too if you
Yeah.
have additional questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is obviously recorded, so there's gonna be access to view it at a future time in what capacity, I'm not really sure. But if you're here and you're thinking